Assalamu alaikum dear students, you are watching Study with Sir Sheraz. Basically we are starting a new content, that is the nuclear chemistry, and this lecture is going to be an introductory lecture on the nuclear chemistry. So stay tuned with us. So first of all we would define that what is the nuclear chemistry. So basically nuclear chemistry, as the word indicates, study of the composition, properties and reactions of the atomic nuclei. Basically, nuclear chemistry is the study of all the aspects of nucleus of the different atoms or different elements. If we talk about the nuclear chemistry, so nuclear chemistry basically deals with the study of the structure of nuclei. That is the first point that we study in the nuclear chemistry, that what is the structure of nuclei, what is the composition of nuclei of different atoms of elements. The second aspect of the nuclear chemistry is the stability of the nuclei. All elements and all atoms are not equally stable, and that is shown by their properties. So we are going to study in the nuclear chemistry that what points decide the stability of nuclei, which nuclei are the most stable, which are the least stable, and how the stability of nuclei determines the properties and the chemical reactivities of the different elements and different atoms. The third aspect of the nuclear chemistry is the conversion to other nuclei. Basically, nuclear chemistry, and one of the most important topic in the nuclear chemistry is the conversion of atoms of one element into the atoms of another element. That is basically known as the nuclear transmutation. So we are going to study nuclear transmutation in the nuclear chemistry. And if we talk about the interconversion of nuclei or the nuclear transmutation, there are different types and different kinds of the nuclear transmutation, in which there may be a spontaneous nuclear transmutation or conversion of one nuclei into the other nuclei. So that is known as the spontaneous. There may be some induced nuclear transmutation. We bombard the nuclei of atoms with some radiations, and that nuclei get unstable, and that they are converted into a other nuclei or in other element. So that is basically known as the induced transmutation. You people have heard about the names of nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, that also come under the headings of the nuclear chemistry. So in nuclear chemistry, we extensively study the nuclear fission, the nuclear fusion, the conditions for nuclear fission and fusion, how the reactions take place, what are the consequences of these reactions, what are the harmful effects, what are the beneficial effects of the fission and fusion. So all these things will be studied under the headings of the nuclear chemistry. So one of the most important questions here is that what is the difference between the chemical reactions and the nuclear reactions? In the nuclear chemistry, we limit ourselves to the nuclear reactions. So first of all, if we talk about the chemical reactions, so chemical reactions are linked or related to the changes in the electronic distribution. Basically, in all types of the chemical reactions, there is changes in the electronic structures of the atoms. So nuclei remain intact. So in the course of all the chemical reactions, the nuclei of the atom is not disturbed. It is only the electronic distribution that changes from reactants to the products. So here given is the example. H2 reacts with O2 to form H2O. There is no change in the nuclei of hydrogen and nuclei of oxygen. The only change that has occurred is that hydrogen has made a bond with oxygen, and in doing this there happened a change in the electronic distribution and the electronic structure of the hydrogen and oxygen, but the nuclei of hydrogen and oxygen has remained intact from reactant to the product. But if we talk about the nuclear reactions, changes in the nuclei of atom, basically during the course of nuclear reaction there happens a change in the nuclei of the atom. So whenever during a nuclear reaction, from going reactants to the products, the nuclei of the atom change entirely and one element is converted into another element. Okay, the hydrogen is same as that was in reactant, oxygen is same as that was in reactant. So the identity of different atom has not been lost. But here in the nuclear reaction, the identity of reactant is lost, and whenever the reactants are converted into product, there appears an entirely new element with new identity, with new properties on the side of the products. Here the lithium is bombarded with proton and it is converted into the beryllium. So lithium is entirely a different element from the beryllium. If we talk about the periodic table, lithium is a different element, beryllium is a different element. So the nuclei of an atom has suffered a change in going from reactant to product during the nuclear reaction. So, but an important point here is that nuclear properties influence the chemical property. We have studied chemical properties extensively in the chemistry. So chemical properties are although linked with the chemical structure, and you can say that chemical properties are linked with the electrons, but the nuclear properties of the elements influence the chemical properties of the elements. So nuclear properties has an indirect impact on the chemical properties of the elements by controlling the stability of the elements, or you can say the stability of the atoms. Here two terms that are used extensively in nuclear chemistry are given. That is, one is the radiochemistry. So this is basically, these are the subheadings, or you can say the branches of the nuclear chemistry. So whenever we talk about the radiochemistry, study of the radioactive species. Radio word comes from the radiation. So basically radiochemistry is the study of the radioactive elements or radioactive species, because in nuclear chemistry we extensively study the radioactive isotopes. So if we talk about the radiation chemistry, so study of chemical effects caused by the radiation. As you people have heard that radiation, just like the gamma radiation, alpha radiation, beta radiation, that are very harmful to the human body, and whenever the human body or any living thing is bombarded by the radiation, there happens a chemical change in a human body. So as I have mentioned earlier that nuclear properties influence the chemical property. So nuclear radiations are the penetrating radiation that are produced from the radioactive elements, affect the chemical properties and chemical structure of the human body and structure of all living things. So this was a short introductory video on the nuclear chemistry. So in the next lecture we will discuss the nuclear chemistry in detail. So stay tuned with us. We will meet in the next video. Up till then, Allah Hafiz.